Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be another interesting one, I hope, for many of you. A lot of you will actually know what I'm talking about. Today we will start with Dmitry Medvedev, as many of you know, who is at this moment, he is the deputy chairman of the Security Council of Russia. He was the prime minister, and I believe he was also the president of the Russian Federation for some time, not as long as Vladimir Putin, of course. But there is more I want to present to you today. Before we go there, I want to say I am immensely grateful, and I mean it, I really do, I truly mean it, to all of you who are appreciating what I am doing, who support my work, who watch my videos lately. A lot of people are also unsubscribing, and I understand that, but I also believe that I have to continue with those videos to bring more awareness and to stimulate your own critical thinking, at least for some time, until we reach the moment when we cannot take it anymore, or we just have to take a break. But thank you to John, Liana, Michael, Oralogica, Patricia, for your very generous donations on PayPal. I am really, really touched, and I really am grateful, guys. I just want you to know. So let's start with Dmitry Medvedev. First, we're gonna go to a video, and then we go to the official website. So let's take a look at this event. By the way, this is not just once that he was in that particular spot. I think there were at least 2 situations that I came across, maybe more, but let's look at this video.
هذا الخوض שעבר כאן ממש מתחת. ההר הולך ארבע קירות. We're gonna return to the topic of that wall later on. However, I just want to show you there is an official website that records all those moments when famous leaders, known leaders of many countries are visiting that wall. And here it actually says that Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev visited the Western Wall. And this is on June 17, 2020, that the first time he went there was, I think, 2016. So we're gonna return to this wall later on in this video, but just this itself to me says a lot. To some of you probably it doesn't, but to me it does. I want to also take you to a quick reminder about this rabbi. So you see a lot of pictures here. This is President Putin with the rabbi that I have been presenting to you in the several videos lately. I forgot his name already, but probably it's somewhere here. Lazar, I think it's his name.
So he is from Chabad Lubavitch, and he is designated for Russia. So he is in charge of Russia. A lot of pictures with President Putin, many gatherings. Anyway, so why I'm showing this to you is because today we're gonna go back in the history a little bit, just a year, first a year ago, and then we're gonna go to a little bit older videos, but this is all connected, what I'm going to show to you, with this Chabad Lubavitch. And as you know, they are very strong in the Russian Federation. President Putin is supportive of this movement. It doesn't look like there are any issues. He actually visits, or they opened the Museum of Tolerance, and they are a big part of it. But not a long time ago, a little bit more than a year ago, we had this event in New York City, and this was, as many of you I'm sure heard about it, quite controversial one. Until today, the official narrative is completely, let's put this way, not full information has been given to the public, because if you do more research, you come across very, very disturbing informations. But what was that? It was an event that was taking place in Brooklyn, New York City, in the headquarters, if you can say it, I think headquarters of that Chabad Lubavitch, that is based also, of course, in United States. So a quick reminder, let's take a listen and let's take a look.
Learning more tonight about the secret tunnel built under a famous synagogue in Brooklyn. A 60-foot tunnel was found right underneath the Chabad Lubavitch World Headquarters in Crown Heights. That tunnel was shut down. It was filled with cement. But before all that, a brawl broke out this week. People got arrested when police showed up to seal off the tunnel. As for why the tunnel was built in the first place, that is still being pieced together. News 4's Andrew Sipp live on Eastern Parkway now, where there are safety concerns also for other buildings in that area, Andrew.
Right, Adam. Although we've learned in the last hour or so from the city buildings department that they have successfully shored up all but one address adjacent to this synagogue. One building, 304 Kingston Avenue around the corner, does still have a vacate order because of fire safety concerns. But as you indicated, the controversial tunnel that the buildings department discovered has been sealed and filled with cement. Start with a famous address, 770 Eastern Parkway, headquarters of the Orthodox Jewish Chabad Lubavitch organization.
This is understandably the most recognizable Jewish building in the world.
Now add in a famous religious leader, Rabbi Menachem Schneerson. He died in 1994, but remains such a powerful symbol that a group of students here seemed convinced the late Rebbe had commanded them to expand the basement synagogue, subject of a decades-long real estate dispute.
They actively knocked down the wall separating the synagogue with a nearby basement, and that's what got all over the news.
The result, a makeshift tunnel that you may have seen on social media this week. Let's go, yeah! It also got the attention of the city's Department of Buildings and led to several arrests for criminal mischief and reckless endangerment. The DOB found the passage 60 feet long by 8 feet wide by 5 feet tall, had no approval or permits, had inadequate shoring, which risked the stability of neighboring buildings, so vacate orders were issued. And cement trucks showed up over the past 24 hours to plug the passageway, preventing anyone from getting trapped down there.
All of the buildings that needed to be shored up are in the
Okay, so many of you remember that story. Of course, you're not gonna hear on the media, NBC or whatever, fake news, right? But they reported a lot of truth as far as the situation. However, of course, they are not going to tell you as pictures were circulating around internet in that time. And if you have videos, you might share it on my platform in the comment section. There were a lot of other objects found there, for example, mattresses with the blood on it. And I don't know how they came to realization that that was children blood, but I would not be surprised. So there is a story that that particular place, of course, is just conspiracy and, you know, we're just making stuff up. There were some very nefarious things taking place in those tunnels. So that Rabbi Schneerson, I think that they have mentioned, and I brought your attention to that particular rabbi several times because he was very instrumental in this Chabad Lubavitch movement that, like I said, is also is really existing in Russia. It's operating in Russia. I don't know what practices. Well, if they have this in the world headquarters going on, don't you think that President Putin doesn't know about it? But I think they are still fine in Russia, which is a big contradictory to me, because if you are banning the Satanism in Russia, and that's official news, you prohibit, and that is something to absolutely acknowledge and admire and applaud, for banning Satanism and any satanic rituals, etc., brainwashing children with all of this. How come this particular movement is not under investigation, let's just say? Because those were the world headquarters. So let's go to the video. You're gonna see the same rabbi talking to, no surprise to any of us, Netanyahu, years and years ago. So this is the rabbi that is very important for the current rabbi in Russia and many other countries. Let's take a listen and let's take a look.
ברכה והברכה, שמעבד יצאת לך מגזר, וברכה והצלחה, תפלאי ולתשיר, בכל העניינים, בזמן שישראל לאחרונה נתפסו כמה עניינים, מה שלא יאות, וגם מצא שעדיין משיח ליבו, אז הייתה משהו ומה ידיעתו. הכנראה שהיא מספיק, כאילו שהיום כבר כמה שעות בגיר ועדיין ליבו, אבל יש עוד כמה שעות, אבל יש להשתדל גם היום, בבשורות טובות. יש שמחה וטוב לבוא. כדי שחסידים מקפידים שכל ימנים יהיו שמחה. בשורות טובות, הצלחה רבה.
So, you know, rapido, build those temples. That's how I'm understanding this, and I'm not an expert in this field. Of course, it's all conspiracy. So how much they care for the children, we have seen in Gaza. As far as this goes, so let me take you to another conspiracy that, again, I'm sure a lot of you heard about. This will present to you first an image. Let me just see. Let me close this. Okay. So you see this guy here. This is the Rabbi Abbe Finkelstein. That was an interview with Pastor, I forgot the name, on the radio. I will attach the link to this entire interview from this from the radio under my video in the description box. I'm not going to play this. I'm going to play a short clip, and hopefully it goes well, because sometimes with the Instagram there is an issue, and I think my screen is frozen now, but it's okay, guys, no problem. I will continue with the video. Some forces are trying to affect my recording, and I will not be surprised. So here you're gonna hear from this rabbi about very disturbing things that actually, I believe, maybe even were taking place in those tunnels in New York City. So let's take a listen. Of course, it's just conspiracy.
The children of our enemy, which is the white race, and we bring them to the basements in the synagogues where we drain the blood and watch them die there. It's very similar to how we do the sacrifices that we do with the kosher butchering, and so we do that, and then we mix it with the Passover bread, and so we eat the blood of our enemies. And the bodies, we're not cannibals, so what we do is we take those, because we can make some shekels, and we give them to the slaughterhouses, and those are pounds and pounds and pounds of meat that we grind up in the sausage and the hamburger, and that's why we made those the most popular thing, sausage for breakfast and hamburger for lunch. And so all the goyim out here are really eating their children. And even when we say this outright and tell you people, you don't believe it. We take the children of
So he said, we take the children, and again, conspiracy only. I tend to believe all of this is true, and I've mentioned this before in another video. I want to take you to another clip I came across. This again is from Instagram. It's about what they can do and what is okay as far as their religion goes.
It says, Sophorim 15, even the best of Goyim should all be killed. Yebamoth 98a, all children of Goyim are animals. Baba Mazia 114b, Gentiles Goys are not humans, they are beasts. Gadshas 2, a Jew may violate but not marry a non-Jew girl. Sanderin 54b, a Jew may have sex with a child as long as the child is less than 9 years old. Tospot Jebamoth 84b. If you eat with a goy is the same as eating with a dog. Baba Mazia 24a. If a Jew finds an object lost by a goy, it does not have to be returned. As the Talmud says, Sophorim 15.
So I believe that's what they practice. Maybe that's when we connect the dots with the tunnels, with McDonald's business, meat industry, and of course the politics. So the last video to present to you, it's another interesting video that partially I've played before. It's, I would say, an explanation or description of the meaning of that wall in Israel that so many leaders are going to touch, like Medvedev did, and pray it, etc., etc. So let's take a listen to this again.
Believe that the Wailing Wall is the sacred remnant of the Second Temple, a place where God's presence still lingers. But this narrative falls apart under historical and archaeological scrutiny. The structure commonly revered today is, in truth, a surviving wall of the Roman military compound known as Fort Antonia, not the Holy Temple. The actual temple stood to the south, built over the Gihon Spring, a requirement for temple purification rituals, which the Roman compound did not meet. The protruding rock beneath the dome of the rock, often mistaken for the foundation stone of the temple, was in fact the central part of Fort Antonia. In other words, the Jews today are not praying at the remains of God's temple. They are praying at the wall of a Roman fortress. But the deception goes deeper. The rituals performed at the Wailing Wall are rooted not in biblical faith, but in the 13th century occult system of the Kabbalah, as elaborated in the Zohar and further mystified by the Hasidic movement. The supposed divine presence they seek at the wall is not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, It is the Shekhinah, a feminine emanation in Jewish mysticism. She is described in erotic, intimate terms, often as a divine consort, with whom spiritual union is sought through the act of prayer, a practice called kavana, where physical movement, like the back and forth thrusting you see, mirrors an esoteric sexual ritual intended to unite the Shekhinah with the Ein Sof, the infinite masculine force of their God concept. This is not worship, it's a metaphysical sex act disguised as devotion. It is an inversion of divine truth, rooted in mysticism that scripture calls an abomination. And this is where it collides with our politics. Nearly every major political figure, presidents, prime ministers, global influencers, must perform their rite of passage at the Wailing Wall, hands pressed against stone, heads bowed in reverence. They are not just pondering to voters or honoring tradition, they are knowingly or unknowingly participating in an occult ritual, submitting themselves at the very seat of the synagogue of Satan. Scripture is unambiguous. In Acts 17:24, it says, God does not dwell in temples made with hands. Much less would he dwell in a Roman fortress surrounded by rituals that glorify a false god and mystical union. It is spiritual prostitution. Our leaders are not just shaking hands with global powers. They are shaking hands with the devil. I believe that the Wailing Wall is the sacred.
So I think there was an echo, guys. I apologize because I didn't I didn't mute the microphone from my side. If it was uncomfortable to listen, my apologies again. And I know the screen from my side is frozen, but I want to end this video again with showing you how all of this is connected, because that entire Hasidic Orthodox movement, Chabad Lubavitch, that is all around the world, that I showed you yesterday, had conferences in New York, and the rabbis from all different countries come and gather, and they are all connected. You know, this to me is just something that I don't know how to explain this. You know, and you look at those leaders, and do you think that President Putin does not know what was taking place in those tunnels in New York? But that's that organization, that movement. So I don't know, you think what you want to think. I'm just showing you things that I come across that are very disturbing, and it's all connected in my opinion. And Dmitry Medvedev going there to that wall, I think he knows exactly what this wall is about. And I'm sure historically he also knows what is this about. So I just leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry for some technical challenges, but I'm sure you're okay with that. And if you appreciate the content, you know what you can do. Just hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave the comments down below. And to anyone who chooses to support my work, the best way is by becoming my Patreon supporter, that is monthly, or donating on PayPal, or becoming a member of this channel. And if you have Instagram, you can follow me there as well. It's AniaK_44. All the links you will find down below in the description box. Lots of love, and remember, we are the leading edge, and we are saving humanity. And I see you in another video. Bye, everyone.